Hello, beautifuls. Welcome to Intuitive Conversations with Kristine Keeland and Renee Kane. I'm Kristine.
I'm Renee. As best friends and intuitives, we have fantastic conversations in all things spiritual. We have been inspired to share these conversations with you. Well, hello, Kristine.
Hi, Renee. We're back.
We're always happy to be back.
I almost said your worst nightmare, but no, that would be incorrect. We're actually here. We are your guidance, we're your support, and we are here for you to, whatever.
To take what you need from the conversation.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
You know?
We're actually here to share whatever the energy is bringing to us today.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the vibrational field, what's going on in your life, what's going on in the global presence. And right now it's conflict.
Tons and tons and tons of conflict in the micro world and in the macro world, which we've talked about, yes.
And we're seeing a lot in our clients' lives. We're seeing a lot in just kind of the world around us. And of course, we're seeing it on the global stage with, continuing wars in the Middle East and continuing wars, in Ukraine and Russia and all other places around the planet. And we were talking a little bit beforehand about, this energy has been here, especially in the Middle East, for a very, very long time. It's almost like there's a portal or a vortex of division and righteousness and, and then it gets other people involved. Who's right? Who's wrong? Let's bless this side. Let's bless that side. Let's pray for that side. Let's pray for that side. It's this whole, and then we're looking at like how it comes from the micro, and it gets, we see it individually.
Down to our personal relationships with people.
Yeah.
Yes. Down to how we all react to something that we feel is an injustice. I'm going to use, that terminology because when we do become angry or frustrated with someone, it typically boils down to something we think has been done to us or against us that was done in an unjust way. So that's the micro piece of it. And I think if we can look at some of those relationships that we know of or that we've participated in, I think that's where we can begin to see things on the global or the macro picture.
Yeah.
Because it really is all the same energy. It really is all the same energy that is working. And when we can look at it in the smallest way to the largest way, we begin to see maybe, potentially, perhaps, the way that we can bring some resolution to some of it on an individual level. As in, how do we participate within whatever is happening?
And I love that you use the word resolution, because I was looking at that too. And then right now I'm looking at the bigger picture, because that's kind of what's in the news and people's commenting on it. And, we're talking about Israel and Palestine right now specifically.
Yes.
But this concept goes for everyone. And people say, I want to pray for peace, or I want to bring, I'm choosing this side. And it's really, perhaps the intention is, do I really want to pray for peace? Because that's a different determination according to every different person. My definition of peace may be different than yours, maybe different than the people actually in the conflict. But a resolution, like that's a bigger, broader, the potentials are different. And it's not so defined and so limited. Yeah. So I love that you use the word resolution. And then how do we affect what we do? I think that's what we want to talk about today, is how does our interaction, whether it's in your family, in your community, or on a global stage, because frequency and vibration doesn't stop with my body or your body.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I keep seeing this picture of, when you see kids playing a kickball game and somebody gets mad about something, oftentimes somebody picks up the ball and just goes home.
Yeah.
And then it festers. Sometimes you'll have a little pushing and a shoving and then you just get mad and there's a little fighting going on. But oftentimes it's like somebody just picks up the ball and they go home. That does not bring resolution, which is what's been happening in the Middle East for a very long time. Someone picks up their ball and goes home. Nothing's been resolved, nothing's done. So it's been festering, 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 and festering. In my interpretation of that, This is their situation to deal with. It's
Correct.
not mine to how do I want to say that? It's not mine to take a side on. It's not mine to decide, oh, they're right, they're wrong. That isn't for me to decide. I can and choose to hold space for them to come to a resolution.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, I don't know what that looks like because I don't know all the little pieces. I don't know what's been going on for eons or, for whatever. But I can sit back and look at and hold space for a resolution to be found between the peoples that are involved. All the peoples that are involved.
And this particular location on the planet for eons has had conflict and division and bloodshed.
Yes.
So it's almost, it is, the way I see it, it's like an energetic whirlpool of I want to say hate. And it's really about the righteousness. It goes way back, way past biblical times, way past, these beliefs that there's even a belief that God will honor me and God will spite you.
Yes.
There's that. It's like the greater power is choosing. And I'm the greater power. No, my culture is the greater power. And this, I don't even know all the history. This goes way beyond written word. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Way beyond the written word. And there's some kind of it started as this beautiful land. Like it's the lushness of the land. It's the everything that we needed was provided. Kind of like the Garden of Eden. Everything you needed was provided there, and the communication was not through division. The communication amongst the original people there was collaboration.
Yes.
And unity. And I'm curious about you, and I'm curious about you. It's like this. It's a totally different feel.
Like a total vibration
now, and I'm not sure where the righteousness came in. And it has a lot to do with. It feels like different lifestyles. It's
the control of
and very simple.
I think you should do it like this.
Very simple. Like I'm cooking this type of grain, and I'm bringing it across your ocean now, and you're changing the way I did something. And now they show me very simple, like two people fighting, just two people. And then the community started fighting, but it created this vortex or this energetic field. And it also is a holding space of a lot of the divisiveness. It's like, it looks like a whirlpool. Is that the right word I want to say? It's like a vortex, right? So a lot of the division comes through the world. It's like a holding tank. Yeah, it's like a holding tank, or it's. There's also a. And sorry, guys. When I get into this, looking at everything, my words get harder to bring into my physical form. But there's a potential there to transform divisive energy, and it's stuck. It's like a generator. It's stuck. So if somebody's having a conflict, like in Norway and Finland or something, that energy that's not resolved, it gets arcs over into the Middle East. It gets sucked in, and then stuck. And it's like this continual, whirlpool energy. And now in this time and age, because we know this is such a beautiful time of expansion, and we are going to really clear up a lot and go into living space, it is about resolution. They get to choose how they resolve it, and they get to choose when. And now we're pulling back, and we get to look at our lives and the people we work with and what's coming up for them, and how are they going to resolve it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get to decide, we get to choose if we want to participate in adding to that vortex of, I don't know what, I don't have an appropriate term.
Yeah.
But our energy, are we adding to the muck, or are we just choosing to be in a place or a position of allowing the muck to be dissolved?
So what do you see as
someone? Does that
make
sense?
It does to me.
Yeah.
How do you see someone adding to the energetic of, let's just call it war?
The war.
The energies of war, division, conflict, what me sitting in my seat, how am I adding to it? I'm just sitting there doing my own thing.
And I think that one of the ways that we add to it is by choosing a side. One of the ways we add to it is by saying, well, these people are right, these people are wrong. When we pick a side, when we pick a thread, I'm going to use thread, that we follow that takes us back to making a decision that someone was right and someone was wrong, we add to that energy.
Yeah.
When we can just allow, and I know that that's not always the easiest thing, to allow something to proceed or to happen. But when we can pull back and allow something to happen without being a part of it.
Or judging it.
Yep. No judgment there.
And I think that's spiritual maturity or wisdom or, how can I honor? How can I see that this is an experience? This is an experience that many people are having. Many people are having an experience of loss of something. There's no dividing line here.
No. Well, and it's like we've talked about, it's like you have two people and they have a disagreement. And then their disagreement becomes the disagreement of their friends. And then it's more friends, and then it's more. When we can just allow the two people to have their disagreement and to find their own resolution in it, then we're allowing that to happen. It doesn't get bigger. But when this one tells, when you tell, do you know what she did to me? And do you know what she did to me? Well, then now we got a bigger problem. And every time that story is repeated and it gets bigger, now we've got big energy supporting what may have just been simply a misunderstanding of something someone said.
And I think if you would be able to, those two people, original people, would say, I'm misunderstanding this. What is it you're trying to tell me that I'm understanding? And take pause between each other. What do I need to know? Then I can make a choice. Okay, I can do this, I can do that. But there's not movement. People become paralyzed in this. It's really like fatigue.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Because that's what I'm hearing. It's a fatigue of you hold that space so long that I'm right. You get fatigued, and you actually have to pull other people in to gain energy
to support you,
because you're trying to support the energy that you started. You're not wise enough to say, you know what, that was a moment in time. That was a moment,
and perhaps, just perhaps, if we get strong enough in who we are, perhaps we can say, okay, did I understand what you said or did?
Yeah.
Did I understand? Now, my interpretation of this word, I'm trying to come up with a word, my interpretation of this word is this. What is your interpretation of this word? You may find that the person you're in disagreement with, it's not because you're in a disagreement over something. It's because you're in a disagreement over what you understand something to mean.
Right.
And when you can, the concept, when you can get to the root of what is going on, then you could have discussion, then you can work towards resolution. But when, like we were talking today, Kristine and I, about the word compassion. And I had one understanding, and actually you had another understanding, but we looked it up, and then the definition we found didn't match either of our understanding.
There's 12 different definitions.
And there are. And so that really brought us to the understanding of, like, even if it's your spouse or your children or your best friend or whomever you're feeling a conflict with, is like, could you please explain to me what you mean by compassion? I'll just use that because that's the word. Can you please explain to me what you mean by injustice? Or justice? Whatever that is, can you explain to me what that is to you? And then if we can dive in to that, then we have a discussion. We don't have a fight. We have a discussion. Or we have the opportunity to have a discussion.
And you have a fight.
We could have a fight, but
having a fight, but you resolve it. You don't walk away from it. I can hear people saying, "Geez, that feels like a lot of effort, and that feels like that'll never happen in my household, and I'll never, and that's uncomfortable for me. And sure, you acknowledge all that. Yeah, this is a new way of me to do things, and I have to kind of find a new way for me to be in this moment in a different space. But I want a different outcome, so I'm gonna put the effort forth.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna build the skill. I'm gonna build the skill of having an extended conversation or greater understanding. I'm gonna recognize this is me feeling it. I'm assuming you're feeling something similar. I'm feeling you're feeling, or maybe I'm assuming you have no understanding of me, and that's an assumption.
And it is an assumption. And the other thing is we put our expectation on people. Like if you have someone that you are in conflict with on a regular basis, I'm going to say, you begin to assume that they're going to say this. So you move into something else. I'm going to assume my husband never shuts off the light. And I always say, shut the light off. And, then the next thing you know, you're kind of creating this, this sandpaper kind of energy. And it's like, pretty soon you understand that I'm assuming he's not going to shut the light off. Because pretty soon I'm saying, hey, shut the light off when you come out of that room. Well, we're adding to the energy of something that isn't desirable. And that's a simple thing. It's just, but that's how simple all of this is.
We live with simple moments, right? That create a bigger moment. And I find it very interesting that right now, all of this combustion's coming together on the planet and in individual lives. Some people are having wonderful lives. They're evolving kind of through a different path. Maybe they've already done a lot of this, so-called work or whatever. But like the playing field is prime. We have set this up to be born and to live in this time frame to understand ourselves. You first have to understand yourself. Then you start to understand the people around you. And sometimes we do it backwards. Like I'm trying to understand you so you can understand me. But the global presence, too, of how this is playing out in so many different pockets on every continent, looking for resolution. It looks like we have a couple years of people not understanding, wanting to be right, picking corners, choosing sides. Maybe it's 2 weeks, 2 years, maybe 10 years, but there's this prime opportunity to really shift the frequency and vibration of the whole planet, which I do believe we are doing.
We are.
It looks kind of like a slow sales pace, but you can sit back and look over 2 or 3 years, like, look how much we've evolved. And as you evolve, things come to the surface. And this situation in the Middle East and the situation of family conflicts, they're the exact same thing. And they're erupting for clarity. They're erupting to say, I have enough of this. I'm done. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I agree. And it also is showing us and bringing to us an understanding of, do I want to participate? What is it that I want to participate in? Do I want to participate in this blowing up of stuff? Or do I want to participate in support in those that are in those circumstances, finding their way? And like you said, for some people it takes a long time. For some people it's a short time. I'm not saying, it doesn't necessarily happen like that. But I would encourage you to, whenever you want to choose a side for whatever it is, ask yourself why. Why am I choosing a side?
Well, you know what I just saw? And if you listen to us, I'm not a sports person, but look how people get so involved in their sports teams. And literally people lose their minds over who's winning and who's losing. And not right or wrong, it's just something I personally don't understand. But it's that same energy of really fight to the death. It's that same energy. That means, I understand that sounds extreme, but it is. I have to conquer over another, and I get involved in that conquering energy. My team, my, my business sales,
my religion,
and it's competition
whatever.
Energy that's on the planet.
Yep,
big competition. You see it in social media. You see it everywhere. Schools. I can't think of you can throw a dart. Somebody wants to compete with you in some way or shape, in some area.
Well, I had heard an interesting piece of information yesterday, and I hope I get it right. But the most violent day of the year in the United States is the day of the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl? I want to say it, but
the day of the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I thought, really? And they're like, yep. Well, when you look at how many people are involved in all of that. And I'm not saying everybody that does that goes that way, but it opens the door to that divisiveness.
Yeah, look how many times we've had riots over outside a stadium in Pittsburgh or someplace, or the Bulls in Spain, or like all these. That's a whole different. That's the same. That's the same energy. That's the same energy of I'm going to conquer somebody over me, and it's a fight to a death. And then you see on a big scale, we're in war. I'm going to fight to the death. It doesn't matter that this family is fighting this family, and both families are suffering for somebody else's benefit.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing.
And here in the United States, I was told this. I don't really watch the news, so if I'm inaccurate, I ask forgiveness. But we're having protests here in the United States. This one supporting Jews, this one supporting Palestinians, this one It's like, we have to stop that. We have to stop choosing sides.
We have to see we are the human race. We're the same species, the same heartbeat.
We're all human beings.
We all bleed the same, right?
we
love the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to, that divisiveness that gets into us, that we have to pick a side, and then we have to go out and prove to somebody that this is better, or that is better. And it's like, that only drives us farther apart. It does not help us resolve anything.
And I know people are invested, and people have their hearts involved, and they want, this side to be taken care of, or, to end. And what I just keep seeing is, that the piece, the dove with the branch, is like, we have to think, and you don't have to do anything. But you don't have to do anything.
You get to choose.
But perhaps your intention is, I'm going to offer my frequency and vibration, my essence, to my loving space, to support a resolution, to support that all, like, it's basically an expansion of love in the area.
Exactly.
Because love overrides all that conflict. Like, you pick up a little kid that's hurt, you snuggle him, you cuddle them in, and you give them all that love. It doesn't negate the experience.
No.
But it certainly expands and involves it into something different. Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm not going to go off track a little bit.
It does. Yeah. But it's also not, in doing that behavior, or in practicing like that, I'll say it like that, you're not negating anything.
No.
You're not holding anyone else to acting or participating in a certain way. You're allowing the behaviors that happen to come. You're comforting the child.
Yes.
You're whatever, but you haven't stopped the kid tripping over and
because my point was, love does heal.
It does.
You think of, I'm a loving being to best your ability, and then you look at yourself, am I a loving being? Do I have conflict in my life? Am I the one that's an aggressive to somebody else? Am I the one allowing myself to be victimized? And again, it's not a judgment on any experience. It's just like, where do I want to be, and where am I? I need my greatest awareness.
Absolutely.
When I have my awareness, I can say, well, if I'm constantly thinking like this, I'm actually adding to, the upside, the lower side, however you want to call it, very simply. If I'm adding to conflict, I'm actually adding to resolution. I'm adding to calm and serenity. And even that's a judgment. Is that what's necessary? I don't know. That's what it feels better to me when I'm in conflict. But I know how to get out of conflict is to take a pause, to listen to myself, and to listen to other parties. Yeah.
And I think what you said, that, love, really, that energy of love does override all. So when we can just stay in a loving place without judgment,
and without an outcome in your head, that this side wins or that side wins, or that needs to be done by this date. And there's such a big misunderstanding on the whole planet of what God is, or what source is, the universe, and how we are our own creators, and we are our own source, we're our own tube of light. And that's like that's what's highlighted every time we go into a major conflict like that. There's a misunderstanding of who we are.
And I'm going to break that down now. I'm going to go back into the micro thing.
Please do.
There is a misunderstanding of who we are. That's I'm gonna risk saying that's always what happens when you have a misunderstanding with
Absolutely.
someone. There's a misunderstanding of not only what that person might be saying or doing, there's a misunderstanding in yourself of in not knowing, not understanding that you have all of the power and the capabilities to kind of nip the whole thing in the butt, you know? Just you can. It is within each of us. It's a practice. We have to learn it. It's a practice, but we do have the power. We do have the ability to stop the disagreement at the point of the disagreement and say, "Oh, excuse me, did I hear you correctly? Oh, I didn't see it like that. Can you explain to me further? Can you tell me more of why you see it this way?" And then I can share my piece instead of jumping into, "Well, you idiot.
Right.
How can you think like that?" We have the power.
It's
we
all
have it. It's in us.
And maybe look at if perhaps you're the person that needs to be right, because not everybody has that need, but many people do, and you have the right to be right. You can kind of reverse engineer it, not stay in the space, but is it because I need to be right because so many times I was told I knew something, like some of children know things, right? They just know things. And you're told you don't know it, or perhaps you're told you're wrong, or you're not being listened to, or you're talked over. Like there's certain reasons that bring you to this space in your life.
Yes.
It's your responsibility to figure out why. Not to say traumatized, not to stay in that space, but look, it's an awareness. Oh, this is just a pattern I have. It makes me feel like this in my body. I have a need to now express myself and be heard and seen. And I'm not really listening to the other person either. And we don't live in islands. We don't live by ourselves. We live with people. We live with all kinds of, big, bad, and different, wonderful. We have wonderful communication with each other. Because it's always communication. It's always communication. However it comes out, it's a communication.
And there's that piece that I'm going to say we have been trained or programmed. It has been programmed into us that we go into the victimhood of that. Like if you've always been told, saying, but I was the victim. Knock off the
Which
victim.
Is why you want to bring other people in.
Yes. Knock off the victimhood piece. Own your own place.
Yeah.
You're not a victim of your circumstances. We all have things, horrible things, many of us, that have happened to us. We can go into the victimhood of that, and often we do to get to the other side.
It's not wrong while you're in it.
No, and it's not wrong while you're in it. But once you come to the understanding of I'm in the program of victimhood, then you can fall into the place of I don't want to be there. I'm not going to be there. I don't choose to be a victim. Yeah. That no longer holds anything over me. Now I can move forward. Now I can say, okay, I have to be right. Is that where I want to be?
Yeah. And you get
Is that where I need to be? Maybe I don't.
Is the value still there?
Is there any value in holding that piece in my life? Yeah.
For me as an energetic being, for my soul, is there still value in me in understanding and kind of playing in this field again? Or maybe not. It is. Maybe it's your whole life experience.
Could be. Might be why you're here.
Yeah. What I've witnessed in others, once you start to aware that I'm in this, that's when you're telling yourself, I'm ready for a change. Yep. Bring in the next part of my soul plan. Bring in the next part. What's the next page of my playbook? What am I ready for the next? And the next phase is sometimes, you have to practice at it. You have to get comfortable with it. Sometimes people reject it because it's such a different vibrational field. It doesn't feel good.
It takes a while to move into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But I have great belief in everybody.
Oh, there is this. There's this beautiful, glorious, magnificent world that awaits us when we can actually let go of all of that programming and all of that stuff that really is just gets in our way. And it is there for each and every one of us. It is big, bright, beautiful, with arms opening. And
you and I and many others have seen it and felt it.
We have seen it. We have visited. We have been there. Yes. And we can all, it's open for everyone. We get to decide. We get to decide where we want to play and how we want to play.
And I think it is a courageous act. I think it's a very courageous act to say, I no longer will participate in this.
Oh, that's
super. I will
super.
no longer participate. And it's different than taking your ball home and not playing.
Yes, very different.
It's being very clear and it's like really it's standing in your own power. It's being an empowered person saying, I no longer will participate in killing another person. I'll no longer participate in aggressive behavior. I'll no longer participate in righteousness. Whatever it may be that you're participating in that no longer makes sense to you, or doing someone else's bidding. We've been programmed a lot. Renee and I use words programming and manipulation control sometimes because it's a reality. And wherever it comes from, that's maybe another discussion too, but you get to say, I'm not doing your bidding. You don't get to speak for me and tell me what's right in my life. I get to do that. And we both have seen where people literally leave their tanks, they leave the guns, they leave the battlefields. We're done. You don't have to wait for somebody else to make a decision that we're gonna find diplomacy, right?
You don't have to wait for the diplomats.
Yeah, no, you get to decide. So most of us are not across. We're not in battle in that way. But we get to decide. I get to roll my own life. Yeah.
And that's a great, big, huge step when you take it. When you understand that you really are in control of your own life.
It can be kind of scary.
It is.
I'm working with a few people right now, and they are struggling with a little bit that they have choice. That they have choice in their life, and that they actually can say, this didn't work for me before, and I'm really angry about it right now, and I need to be angry about it right now, but it's really not where I want to stay. But it's scary to do something different. I feel so pigeonholed in what I'm allowed to do in my own mind, not in reality, but in my own mind. And that's been coming up the last month. It's kind of always present, but really, I'm so proud of these people because they're starting to see their potential and that they can do things a little differently.
And understand that they can create their own reality. Yeah. They don't have to play in the reality that someone else has tried to create for them.
Right. Yeah. They can leave a family dynamic or start. Doesn't mean you leave your family.
No.
I mean, it could mean that for you. But it just means I'm not going to, the rules you set up for this family, I'm going to adjust them to fit me better.
Yeah.
Because most people want to belong. Most people want to belong. And you have to decide when it's best for you. Yeah.
So I guess today, our piece of information for you, it's pretty big.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we really touched on how your thoughts and your vibration influences the world you live in and the greater world. Because there is no ending. There's a ripple effect. Vibration goes forever. Frequency goes forever. It can rip around. Because that's what we originally started talking about this morning.
Yeah. And that's where, if you're sending the energy of choosing sides, there's a belief, I'll say, that, the more people you have on this side, then you have more people on this side, so the biggest side wins. So that's a belief that the one with the most people or the most energy or the whatever behind it wins. That's not an energy that I would encourage anyone to participate in. It's not winning.
Right. I also want to look at, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I really am. But my mind sometimes forgets things. So I apologize, Renee. I want to look at the concept of deserving. Because a lot of this is like, well, I deserve this. You don't deserve that. This country, they don't deserve the treatment they're getting. Well, nobody really deserves, in quotation, who deserves mutilation and cities being bombed and my family being destroyed over your family? It goes back to that. I think it goes back to that, your belief in what source, the universe, God is. Like, I am this peon. It's really, I'm sorry I keep bringing it back to, they keep driving me back to, it's the origination of this soil. And the origination of this conflict energy was not contained to the space on Earth. So what we were talking about, sending our energy there, making sure our frequency is one of resolution, whatever it may be, that vortex spread out. Does that make sense? So the conflict energy that started really with the first human races, when they started joining together,
it came from that.
It
came from the galactics that brought it
in. Yeah, the galactics were brought in. So, but on Earth plane, it started with, right? So, like, it wasn't contained there. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's a vibrational field that goes in and out quite a bit.
Yes.
It's like an accordion, goes in and out. And I forgot my original thought now, excuse me. But deserve, yeah. So there's something there about I'm a more deserving being than you are. I deserve more of God's grace, if that's your terminology. I deserve more of God's goodness than you do. It goes back to that righteousness. There's something there
with righteousness.
It's how can one be more loved than the other? From a bigger perspective, whatever your definition of God is. So maybe look in that in your own, if any of this is making sense to you, look at that in your own belief system. Do you have a belief that people get punished or people get rewarded? Perhaps.
It's possible.
And you see it in family members, right? You're the good kid, you're the bad kid. You're the black sheep, you're the white sheep. You know, you ate all your food, or you got really good in school, so you get this reward. You didn't, you got to go sit in timeout, or you get to be punished. It is the exact same energy. It's a separation. You're the good one, you're the bad one. And man, that's just it's in our literature, it's in our song, it's through history. So look in your life and say, where am I still playing in the good and bad?
And be conscious of how often you use those words even.
Absolutely.
Like good, bad, right, wrong.
Words are powerful.
You know, all of that, and you will be surprised how often those words pop up in your vocabulary. Well, this is the right way to do it. Well, is it? Maybe for you, but
you know, and it starts very early. You'll hear people say, "Well, that's not a very good baby. Is your baby good?
Yeah,
should you ever, you know."
It's a baby. It's really good.
It's a baby. They sleep, they eat, they poop. They get upset. Cry. They can't talk. They don't, you know. Or what a bad little boy, or what a good little boy. Like it's embedded in us at such an early age, and it comes from a greater perspective that we're not aware of. So that's my soapbox for today. That's my ancient wisdom.
Oh boy, we got ancient wisdom, don't we? Again, we go back to being aware.
Just
it's being aware of your choices, and we always have a choice, no matter what it is. Sometimes it may not feel like you have a choice, but you do always have a choice. So be very aware when you're choosing how your day looks, when you're choosing what you want to put in your body as far as nourishment, when you're choosing whether or not to pick a side. Just be very aware. Just bring that into your conscious awareness, how often that affects your decisions in a day, how often that affects the energy you put out to others.
Next couple weeks, kind of just, you know, make mental notes of that, or
mental notes, or write a note down.
And then also see how it feels for you. If I'm in a space of righteousness, or a space of I need, like, just pay attention how your body feels too, because that's a good clue of my body. Is my body tense? Am I relaxed? Do I even know what relaxed feels like? Am I so used to being, you know, I'm on the defensive, I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop, whatever your operating system be, or you just want, like, you know, I'm good. You do you, I'll do me. That feels good to me. Maybe it does. Maybe that feels foreign to you.
Well, and a tool I used when I first started to become more conscious of what came out of this.
Out of her mouth.
Out of my mouth. I would say, if something came out that was less than desirable, I would say cancel, 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 universe. And I don't know that that tool was necessarily canceling anything. I hope it did. However, it was like a tool to help me catch myself.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
Mindset.
It just flipped me out and it's like, cancel.
Yeah.
No, that isn't exactly what I meant. And you'll hear us, both of us, say on these podcasts a word and then say, well, that's not quite the word.
Yeah.
So it's not like it always comes out exactly the way your intention has it coming out. But you start to catch those words. You start to see more of what that means to you.
Yeah, and I used to say delete too.
No, I've heard people do that.
I think the pause is really important.
Yes, very important.
You know,
even if you don't say anything.
Yeah,
stop.
It can be 2 seconds. It can be 20 seconds. It can even be I need to wait a day. I need to wait a day to pick up this conversation. That's wise. That's not walking away from something. That's not never addressing it.
That's not
and never
wise.
Looking at yourself. That's not maybe your best. But taking the pause many times is, what do I really need to say? What do I really, what am I trying to be? What am I trying to communicate?
And oftentimes in an argument, we would all be much further ahead if we would say, I need to take a pause. Can we pick this up tomorrow at noon or whatever works for you?
Right. Let's all both get a glass of water and come back.
Yes. I need 10 minutes to just focus here.
Yeah.
That's wise. That's very wise, instead of just
and also be very careful. I'm hearing to be very careful who you share things with, because we do need to share. Sometimes we need a sounding board. I need to talk to you, or I need to talk to somebody. I need to talk to my husband. But it's the piling on, or the again, it's like, I want to know that I'm right. I want to feel better about my decisions. I want to make sure this person is, maybe you're not thinking ostracized, but you're piling on. So be careful. Am I understanding myself better, or am I just causing more separation and more? It's really more angst for both parties, and you're dumping your uncomfortableness or your misunderstanding of yourself. You're dumping it on somebody else, and energetically and consciously, I kind of want to say it's a violation. I don't know if that's too strong a word. But for me to take what I'm not responsible for and send it to you, and I'm trying to think of a good example. For instance, if I was with this person and I could just tell, they weren't doing this right and that right and this right, and they were just, they're so messed up, and I can see they're in victim. I can see all these blah blah blah. I'm sorry, people, I can't put a good example. But for me to come to you and say, isn't that right? Can you see, like, she's doing all these, he or she's doing all these things, and they're just so messed up, and like, it's certainly not kind.
No.
But because energy kind of leaps, right?
Yep.
And consciousness leaps, it literally is like punching somebody.
Kind of is, yeah.
It's like giving somebody a punch in the gut, and then they don't understand why, because most of us aren't aware of our own energy fields. We don't know how we interact. That's something we're I think that we're in the very beginnings of doing it. I think you and I are pretty adept at it, but by no means are we. We're still here, right? So I do think we have to be very aware of the cause and effect of not only our thoughts, because our thoughts are a frequency and vibration.
And to piggyback off what you just said, that is completely different energy than, if I would call you, just say, hey, Chris, I witnessed this yesterday, this behavior and whatever, and I feel this way about it. Can you help me look at how I feel?
Yes, help me understand
about what something happened, and help me see why this is resting on my heart as something I want to look at. Then you're asking someone to help you and to look at you, to figure out what you might be misaligned with in the moment.
Yeah, people call it triggers. Why am I responding this way?
So it's totally, it could be all about the same situation, but it's not about the people in the situation. It's about me.
Yeah.
Why do I feel this way about it? So there are ways to address certain feelings, emotions, reactions, triggers with another being without bringing that energy of they're wrong and I'm right.
Without piling on. And that actually absolves your responsibility of the interaction. Where I love how you explain that, because we do want to know more about ourselves.
Mhm.
Why am I affected this way? What am I going? Why am I upside down about it? Yeah, I don't need to explain what you already explained, but yes, thank you. That's beautiful.
But there are that's the difference.
That's a major difference.
It's like the one is more of a gossipy, I'll use that word, kind of a thing. The other is about, okay, this appears to be affecting me in this way. Can you help me understand why?
And that's where you find people that you can have these conversations with. Maybe there's one in your life, maybe there's 100 in your life.
It could be.
But you get very choosy. You discern who you share things with and who you go to for help.
Very much so.
Yeah. It's not we want to avoid the piling on as much as we can. You may do it once in a while, but
we're human.
Yep.
As always, we still are human.
Yeah. But when you can ask for help and help me understand myself, that's the key.
That is the key.
Yeah. All this would have been avoided. Help me understand myself. And the family conflicts we're seeing and the job conflicts and And
I'm just going to ask that you really look at who you are as you move forward in the next few months, let's just say, of, conflicts and resolutions and all this kind of stuff. Look at how you want to play in that. Look at how you want to be in that. Do you still want to be on the side of picking and choosing? Maybe you do. And I'm not going to judge that. I'm just here to offer you another way to do it. And another way is to just hold any conflict that you see in your heart for the highest and best resolution for all involved. That's just another way.
Beautiful. Yeah. So take that with you. Like that.
Again, thank you for letting us share your time.
And please share this if it makes sense to you. We appreciate that. And we will be back next month.
We are forever grateful to you, our listener. You inspire us to continue listening with our hearts,
to share what we know, and to expand love, peace, and joy within ourselves and others. Until next time, this is Kristine Keeland
and Renee Keene. Be love, give love, and receive love.